Today, we're going to unravel the incredible story of an invention that was literally born from a nightmare. It's a tale of genius, sure, but also a failure and a massive legal war that didn't just change how we get dressed, it changed the entire course of American industry.
Yeah, I know. It sounds like some kind of bizarre riddle, right? But believe it or not, the answer is at the very heart of the sewing machine. And understanding this strange connection is the key to figuring out how one inventor finally solved the puzzle that had stumped the smartest people for decades.
So, the secret, it came to the inventor Elias Howe in a nightmare, a really terrifying one. He dreamt he was captured by a tribe, and they gave him an ultimatum. You perfect your sewing machine in 24 hours or you die. In the dream, as these warriors were dancing around him, he noticed one tiny, crucial detail about their spears.
Okay, Section 1. A dream-fueled invention. And yeah, that one single detail from his nightmare, that was everything. That was the spark of genius he had been missing.
You know, when you look at it, it seems so simple, but this was absolutely revolutionary. For literally all of history, every needle had the eye at the back end. But Howe's dream showed him the answer. Just put the eye at the tip, like a spear. That one little change allowed the needle to push a loop of thread through the cloth, and then a shuttle flying back and forth underneath could lock it in place. Boom. That's the invention, right there.
But here's the thing. It wasn't just the needle. That was key, for sure. But his 1846 patent was so brilliant because it combined three things nobody had ever managed to put together before. You had the eye-pointed needle, the shuttle creating that secure lockstitch, and an automatic feed to keep the fabric moving. This was the whole shebang, the world's first truly practical sewing machine.
All right, Section 2, Early Struggles. And this is where the story takes a turn, because as Howe was about to find out, having a brilliant idea, well, that's the easy part. Convincing the world to care is a whole other story. His moment of genius was followed by years of just brutal, soul-crushing failure.
And you have to understand, his motivation here was deeply personal. He was born into poverty, he had frail health, so he couldn't do hard farm labor. Instead, he had to watch his wife sew, day and night, just to support their family. It drove him crazy. He became obsessed with this one question. Why can't a machine do this work?
And the machine he built? It was amazing. It could sew 250 stitches a minute. That's 5 times faster than the most skilled person sewing by hand. He even held this public demonstration, a race against 5 top seamstresses. And his machine just smoked all of them. It wasn't even close. And yet, he didn't sell a single one. Not one. The local tailors were terrified it would destroy their jobs. His miracle machine was a complete commercial disaster.
From there, his path forward was just brutal. After failing in America, he gets his patent and sails to England thinking, okay, maybe I'll have better luck over there. Nope. After 2 years of getting exploited and cheated, things were so bad he had to send his family home ahead of him. He literally had to pawn his own patent papers just to afford the ticket back. He arrived in America completely penniless and defeated.
Okay, Section 3, the Great Sewing Machine War. Because when he gets home, he discovers his real-life nightmare is just getting started. While he was practically starving in England, manufacturers back in America were getting rich by stealing his invention. I mean, dozens of companies were just ripping off his lockstitch design without paying him a dime. But there was one name that stood above all the rest: Isaac Singer. Now, Singer was a brilliant marketer, and he made some improvements, but the fundamental technology, the thing that made his machines actually work, that was pure Elias Howe. So the fight got really public and really, really ugly. You could literally open up a newspaper and see their ads right next to each other, just going at it. Howe would publish these warnings, declaring himself the original inventor and cautioning buyers. Singer would fire right back, calling Howe's patent useless and his machine a piece of junk. The war for credit was on.
Howe had to scrape together what little money he had, and he took them all to court. For 5 long, grueling years, he fought to prove his claim. Finally, in 1854, the court made this huge landmark ruling. They said, yep, Howe's patent is the one. It's the foundation of this entire industry. And that meant every other sewing machine maker, including Singer, was guilty of infringement.
So, Section 4, an unprecedented patent truce. You'd think, great, Howe won. But his victory actually created a new kind of chaos. The constant lawsuits were grinding the entire industry to a halt. Their solution was something nobody had ever tried before, and it would change American business forever.
In 1856, these bitter rivals, we're talking Howe, Singer, all of them, they formed something called the sewing machine combination. This was the very first patent pool in U.S. history. Instead of suing each other into oblivion, they agreed to combine all their key patents. Now, anybody could pay a single fee and get a license to build a complete working machine. It was brilliant.
And Howe, because he owned that foundational patent, sat right at the top. For every single sewing machine sold in the United States by any company, he received a royalty. And that royalty was $5. Now remember, this is a time when a skilled worker was lucky to earn $1 a day. $5 per machine was an absolute fortune, and it was about to make him unbelievably rich.
And now, our final section, Howe's enduring legacy. This agreement completely changed everything for him. The man who had to pawn his own invention just to get a boat ticket home was now on the fast track from rags to, well, to unimaginable riches.
The royalties just started pouring in. By the time his patent finally expired in 1867, Elias Howe had earned over $2 million. In today's money, that's well over $40 million. The broke, defeated inventor was now one of the wealthiest men in America.
But the machine's impact was so much bigger than just one man's fortune. It powered the rise of ready-to-wear clothing, making good clothes affordable for everyone for the first time. It created entirely new industries, from factories to fashion, and it liberated millions of people from the absolute drudgery of sewing every single stitch by hand.
And Howe himself, he was just a fascinating character right to the end. Even after becoming a millionaire, at 42 years old, he enlisted as a regular private in the Civil War. His invention won gold medals in Paris and earned him France's highest honor, the Légion d'honneur. He's been on a U.S. postage stamp, and get this, he even got a shout-out in the credits of the Beatles movie Help. No, seriously. So when you look back, the story of the sewing machine isn't really just about a dream. It shows us that a brilliant idea, that spark of genius, is only the beginning. Howe's legacy wasn't forged in that flash of inspiration. It was forged in that 5-year soul-crushing fight to defend it. Which kind of leaves you with one last question, doesn't it? Maybe perseverance is the most important invention of all.